is being in these cemeteries, you get numbed to the stories. You don't know what you're looking at. And what I had a hard time with is walking by a gravestone, because I don't know that man's story or that woman's story. I don't know who they were. It just seems like another name on a grave. And it was at Tyncott that I kind of seed planted, and in their interpretive center they had pictures of the individuals buried there kind of coming up. And this is what leads me into the next project, because this is a project for Canadians. And this is going to do with the 75th of the D-Day landings. But it's taken into consideration something that is happening in our society today. Right? Even, if you look at me right now, I actually have an iPad, 2 phones, a third phone up here, a laptop. Okay, technology is happening. It's here, right? And it's changing the way we engage with life and people. And it can be good. It can connect people, but it can also distract people, right? And when we think of what it can do when it comes to people's perception of war and soldiers, I feel that there's a real concern that we're going to lose connection. That when I talk about courage and empathy as it comes to remembrance, if we remember without empathy, that becomes glorification. And we're glorifying things today. I did a quick search online. I wanted to see faces of soldiers, because that's really what my project is about, is connecting the faces of soldiers. And I wanted to see faces of soldiers as they're portrayed in video games, right? And I was actually a little bit disturbed, because what do you notice about the faces of these soldiers? What faces, right? They're portraying mindless, faceless soldiers. A soldier is not mindless. A soldier is not soulless. A soldier is not someone without feeling. A soldier is human. Our Canadian soldiers are citizens who choose to serve, right, at a great sacrifice to themselves. They are not faceless. Our soldiers have faces. There's 158 faces that are really relevant in our mind today. The ones we've lost in Afghanistan, the men and women. And what was really impactful is, if you go online, our technology has preserved some of these people, right? We have a connection to these people because Facebook and all these other things. We've preserved that, so there is a connection. There's stories. We've heard the stories of that, and I think that's really important to have that preserved. Though when we think of 1940s to 45, the soldiers we've lost, we don't have that same connection. The connection we had is the stories that have been shared to us by our veterans, right? The stories that they've talked about. Though my concern is how are we using the medium, the technology today, in a way that is thoughtful and impactful, that can use that we can use that technology for remembrance. And this is what my project is about, is using the technology. Okay, and so what this project's going to do, and I'm going to explain it more, but it's going to use augmented reality as a way to enhance graveyards. And my son's jumping up and down again with a question. Yes, buddy. Last question, okay, and then you can save him till the end. Okay. Why did they get lost? Oh, jeez. They got lost for us. They got lost to keep us safe. And they got, yeah. Oh, geez, this is one of those dreaded conversations. You know what? That's a really, no, and we're laughing because that's a good question, buddy. And why do they get lost? Because sometimes things in life happen that we don't have control over, and we need to step up and make a choice. We have to have courage to do what's right, and the empathy, right, to really let that guide us into knowing what's right. And so these soldiers, buddy, they gave their lives to keep us safe. Yeah. So the first graveyard I went to, and it had a big impact. This was my first Allied graveyard, was Benny-Sumer. This is the Normandy graveyard. There's 2,048 graves in this graveyard. 48 graves. 19 of them are unknown. okay? 2,044 are Canadian. 1 is French, and 3 are British, okay? When I talk about story, when I talk about faces, and when I talk about remembering these individuals, it is very hard to do that when you're looking at a gravestone. And I fear that unless we do something to engage people differently, create an actual functional and engaging database, and this is an important concept. We are collecting data, right, that shares a story. So the purpose of this is to collect data from family, to share the story of these soldiers by using augmented reality. So the technology, and I'll give you a quick demo, which is a proof of concept for you, but the technology I'm proposing to use is the augmented reality and mobile cell phones that will be able to flag which grave you're at, show a picture of that soldier, a short story about that, and then some links as well, where people can share maybe 500 words about that family member. And what do we need to know? That's the question. What do we need to know about this soldier? Okay? And then be able to have that with their picture, because humans, we can't empathize with a gravestone, but we can sure empathize with a picture. We can sure empathize with a story. And that's really powerful. And that's what this app is designed to do. Though, how many people go to Beni Sumer? How many Canadians can afford to go over there or will have a chance to go over there? That's a challenging thing. In order to make this something that is accessible to all Canadians, what we're going to try to do is make this app so you can take this into a large field, or back at the military museums where you have a large amount of space, and drop the graveyard virtually and walk through it virtually. Or further than that, you can maybe personalize it a bit and maybe see, I want to see the Calgarian soldiers, or the soldiers from Hamilton, or wherever, or I want to see the soldiers of this regiment. I want to see the soldiers who might have died in this time period, okay? This will just enable people to have a bit of control on the story that they're trying to experience, right? And the stories of these soldiers as they explore that and connect to that in a different way. This is about engaging people in learning and using the technology in a way that is healthy, okay? So this is the layout of the cemetery, and just a review of what I'm hoping to do. This is a mobile memorial. This is something different. This isn't brick and mortar, okay? This will go obsolete eventually. But the data we collect, hopefully, that will not go obsolete. And hopefully that data we collect can be used in new applications as the technology evolves, because that's a reality of our world today. With the search function, I kind of explained it would be great to have search functions where you can maybe just drop portions of these of the graveyard, or tailored searches, family members perhaps. I think it would be incredibly neat if you could put your biographical information in there and partner with someone like Ancestry.ca, and it might tell you where a relative of yours is that you didn't know. Okay? We're going to look at links to enhance your education. So, you know, if you're looking at where the soldier lost their lives, you might be able to learn more about that battle by clicking on a link, or you could go to the regiment's website or other partners. There's a big picture restoration. I've been restoring pictures already, and I totally forgot to put them into my slides, but I put them online. Some of these pictures are quite damaged, but we have the technology to capture, fix those. And it's truly phenomenal, and it's such an amazing thing to sit there and work on a picture and see the face come back. The technology is there for us to do that, so that's going to be a big part of the project too. There's that website to collect and engage people, so we collect the data. And then the Faces of Normandy social media. So I don't know where this project's going, but at the very minimum, what I will be doing, it depends all on how much funding I get for this, but at the very minimum, which I don't require funding for, is collecting these pictures and sharing them with people. And I'm going to make a point in the year leading up to D-Day, the 75th anniversary, is to be sharing these pictures, sharing the people's names, sharing bits of their story, restoring those pictures. At the very minimum, you can expect that's going to be happening. Okay, so I'll do that on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. But this is ultimately the idea. I just want to actually show you a bit of a demo. So this is very rough. Okay, this is This was just put together so you guys can get a sense of the capacity of the technology, but it is. So this would be what it would be like to have the app. This is what augmented reality is it puts something over top of what's actually physically there. So we can get an idea of who that soldier was, look at that grave, see some of that. And of course, you know, we'll have a space where we can write some stuff in there, share the story, okay? Because each one of these soldiers, there's one thing to see a grave. Who is that person? Who was that person? Okay. There's so many stories in there. So this is just an idea, just to show you guys what is potential with this. There's a landscape view of it too. Okay, moving in and back. But there's a real opportunity in this to use it for things like this remembrance project, to engage learning in a different way. So like I said, there's a variety of projects out there. You can do your furniture, you can measure your room, you can have a dinosaur. There's all sorts of different things. Pokemon Go, right? Though the thing is we have to ask a question, is there's a lot of power in this tech. How do we use it in a way that builds our youth, builds our adults, builds our society, okay? So that's the opportunity. Just quickly to give you a sense of what I've been doing, I've been spending a lot of time on this. This is just data collection. This is my Excel spreadsheet that captures every soldier that's in the graveyard, 2,048, okay? I'm at 1,823 now of each individual soldier I've gone and looked at, and I'm collecting the data. And it's actually really difficult. I'm not going to lie. When you go through and you're able to see each story, and you come across these things that just get you sometimes. This is a set of brothers who were both killed during the landing. You know, you don't hear about that. That's stuff they make movies about, right? There's another set over there. There's 2 sets of brothers in that graveyard. I can't imagine what that was like to the family. Sometimes you don't get a picture, but there's a little clip. And Thomas Pierce, you know, the last things he said, he's in the landing craft going towards the beach. He says, no matter how tough going it is, smile. That was his last words after coming off that craft to his friends. John Martin, who was hit off the landing craft coming, he was shot in the lung, and he was lying there with his friend, and his last words were, "Hold me, I'm cold." This one kills me. This is probably the hardest one. I had a hard time when I came across this. When you look at what's said, this is Walter. He sent a telegraph to his son, and it says, "Dear Tommy, how is Dad's big boy keeping? Uncle Eric was telling me how big you are and what a good boy you are. Dad is doing fine. He only wishes Dad is doing fine. He would like very much to be home with you so we could all go on a picnic together and have some fun." He never saw his kid again. That's a story that could get lost. And I don't want that to get lost. Our soldiers are human. Our soldiers feel. And their soldiers deserve to be remembered. I want to use this technology to ensure that we remember them. There's so many faces, so many stories. We can't do it all, but at least we can do a bit. This is leading edge technology. And this is the part where I got to have a lot of courage, because my self-doubt comes kicking in on this hard. To build something like this will cost around $250,000. It's not a small amount. That is the ideal. I'm going to shoot for that. I'm going to try doing some crowdsource funding. I've put a GoFundMe up. It's very rudimentary right now. I put it up because I'm actually talking about it publicly now, so I wanted something somewhere if people can go. I'm going to add to it and describe it more. I'm going to try getting some government funding, but it's something I don't think the government's ever funded something like this before. They're generally brick or mortar. They're generally events. This is abstract. This is virtual. Though I think this is the way we need to move. And what I find is people are very receptive of what I'm trying to achieve here. So anything, you feel free to email me. I have some business cards here afterwards. But this is a GoFundMe page I have up right now, just so there's a place to go. If anything, what I would ask, you don't need to donate to this, but what is powerful is sharing. That is the most powerful thing you could do, is just share, because $1 or $2 here or there, when it's shared, becomes a lot, right? And we'll see where it goes.